It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantatrax TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine, indeed. Back once again for your weekly recap on everything Star Wars. And courtesy of Fantatrax.com. So what have we got in store for you guys this week? First up, we're going to be talking Life Day. We're going to look ahead to Marvel's new comic series coming out for the holiday seasons. After that, we're going to go back to the Old Republic, where 4K trailers have been getting released to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the game. And what else? Essential Legends Collection's got 4 more titles advertised already for 2022. We'll have a little look at what's coming ahead. Hugh Quarshie was inducted into the Rebel Legion last weekend at Gateshead. We'll have a little discussion about that. Hasbro Pulse revealed the Rancor this past week on Fan First Friday. We'll be discussing everything to do with that. And of course, the big news of the week, the Book of Boba Fett official trailer launched a little bit early compared to what we thought it would be. So, with all that news, important that you guys subscribe, ring the bell, follow us, share the content. If you're on Twitter and you're watching the show there, jump across to Facebook and YouTube if you want to get involved. We'll include as many comments as possible on the show. And get chatting, because you guys are hugely important to us. My first guest, Mr. Mark Mulcaster, how are you?
Hello! Hello! Let me just shake my helmet hair off. How are we? How are you doing, Brian?
Thank you. Not too bad, thank you very much. Big week for Boba Fett fans.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, I mean, because you guys broke for news before everybody else, a good couple of days. So, yeah, exciting times. And the Book of Boba Fett official trailer looks even awesome. So, awesome. Cool.
And my other guest, also from Making Tracks, Mr. Mark Newbold.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Busy week on the site for you, lots of news to report.
Loads of news to report. There's always loads of news to report. Yes, Mark alluding to our fantastic exclusive Book of Boba Fett trailer, which nobody fell for. Loads of news. There's been stacks to talk about. I can't wait to get stuck in. And I'm shaking my helmet hair as well.
Not often we get both you guys here over on the show, so it's good to have you here. People are not familiar. Making Tracks, a podcast you're both involved in on Fantatrax Radio. Tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up in this week's show.
Right, so this week we were on the road again, and we went to last week we went to Gateshead Unleashed, and this week we went to Smugglers Star Wars Charity Day in Croydon. So yeah, we had good fun, and we spoke to a lot of people, and in fact our good friend Paul Naylor, he was also with us. He was running errands and bringing us all the teas and stuff whilst we did all the hard work. So it was a good fun, great day out for everybody, and a lot of signers there. So listen to this week's episode, and also I think probably the next couple of weeks' episodes, because we're going to have some chats in each one. So it's going to be good fun.
Yeah, what he said, exactly that. It was a good day out, good fun. loads of people there, and like you say, loads of stuff coming to Panther Tracks and making tracks. So all good.
So on that note, I think we should probably crack on and have a little look at this week's news. So first up, Life Day issue 1 from Marvel's due out later this week. We've had a little chance to have a little look ahead. So let's see what the release. A couple of panels there. Writers Cavan Scott, Justina Ireland, Jodie Hauser, Steve Orlando, all involved in this project. Holiday season, obviously, in America. And we'll pretend that it doesn't happen over here in the UK. But we'll do the sales on the Friday. But it looks like they're aiming for this one's going to be for the young kids. A little bit of fun tied into the holiday season. Your initial thoughts?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, who can't but love a nice fun love day? Love day, Life Day, one shot. Yeah, I mean, maybe Love Day, maybe Valentine's. Yeah. There you go. We've got something we can pitch to them for like February 14th. But yeah, I mean, Han and Chewie on a little adventure, doing whatever it is we're going to do. Probably go and try and find a turkey or something, or a duck to kind of like cook. And I think it's quite fun. Obviously, like last year we had the Lego holiday special, kind of like Mark II, which was kind of awesome and enjoyable, and again kind of like that holiday vibe. So this will be fun, and a nice kind of cast of writers. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, I mean, George Mann and Cavan Scott have got that Life Day Treasury that's not long since come out, and now this is coming out. It says doesn't. I mean, I kind of referred it to as a one shot. I don't know if it is because it says issue 1. There might be future ones down the line. It's got a Phil Noto cover, which automatically makes it awesome. I'm looking forward to this. You've got a good bunch of writers involved, and the concept is solid for Star Wars. It's kind of like a galactic sort of festive day, and anything that sort of riffs off the holiday special is a good thing. So I'm all in for this. Think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and obviously, Cavan, we met at MCM London Comic Con a few weeks back now. Few weeks, 2 weeks maybe. Interviewed him, so there's a special edition of the Cannon Fodder podcast out as well. So pick your podcast of choice, type in Panther Tracks Radio, you'll find it. Check it out, because we discussed High Republic amongst other things in that, and there's a tale from the High Republic part of Life Day as well. So fans of that will want to check that one out. Next up, character we're all very much familiar with there. The Old Republic is 10 years old. And they've been re-releasing some of the classic cinematic trailers in 4K. You guys, fans of the Old Republic in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was part of the beta testing back in back kind of 10 years ago, and I played Old Republic for pretty kind of like regularly for good like 3 or 4 years, but as with everything, life gets in the way and kind of fell out and didn't get really a chance to kind of do much gaming on there. And it's a great game, and I'm just really kind of happy and pleased that it's managed to get to the 10-year kind of marker. I think that is kind of testament to the fact that the storylines and the actual community there is thriving, and hopefully it will just be another 10 years, and seeing these cinematic trailers really brings back a lot of memories, because some of these, they looked good enough to be an actual Star Wars animated film or something. They were just proper high-end animation. The characters just looked really crisp, and obviously now in 4K the details fare even better. So I think it's great, and obviously with this comes an expansion pack, I believe, some more downloadable content for like the Sith and stuff. So yeah, and I think also what was great was that this kind of like kicked off a nice range of publishing program as well, with Deceived books and some of the other High Republic. So I think, to be honest, I think actually the Old Republic doesn't get as much kudos and as props as it probably should these days, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, there's rumours at the moment knocking around that one of the future projects could be a High Republic, either film or TV project. So it's quite well timed. And I think when the Disney purchase happened, I think a lot of people expected this would be one of the earliest things to go by the wayside. So for it to get 10 years down the line and still have, like Mark says, so many people still playing it, it's free to play now. You know, there's lots of expansions have come along in the time since. There's still a lot of interest in this era. Watching the trailer now is just, I can't believe this is 10 years ago. I really cannot believe this is 10 years ago. Still looks fantastic, and they should have done more with it. You know, if we'd have had a movie made of this quality, I think we'd have been very happy. So yeah, hats off to BioWare and the whole team behind it, because it's done brilliant to last this long.
Yeah, Paul Naylor's asking here in the chat whether we think it's the kind of content we could see in the Acolyte. Obviously, that's a High Republic era Disney Plus TV show that's in development that we may well find out more about on Disney Plus Day this week. Do you think that's a possibility?
It's possible. I mean, I think it depends upon how much focus they put on the Book of Boba Fett, which obviously is the next thing we're going to get. I think sometimes, to an extent, Disney seem to be pretty good at only focusing on the current and the next thing coming, and they don't tend to kind of speculate too far into the future. But who knows? I mean, to be honest, The Acolyte is one of those series that potentially it could go either way. It's set at the end of the High Republic era, just before we kind of really get into that that downturn that we see in the Old Republic for the prequels. So hopefully we're going to see something kind of very different, very much more considered than maybe what we've seen before. But who knows? I mean, it's still early days. I don't even think we're in production, are they yet? So, we're still kind of quite a way off. So, but anything that we can get about the Acolyte or Kenobi or on this Disney Plus Day, I think will be just like a bonus, really.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, whatever we get is gravy. Let's not look too far ahead, because we know there's a ton coming. Yeah. And they don't need to tease us. It's like Marvel. They don't need to tease us. What's imminent is the excitement, so they don't need to throw too far ahead.
Yeah, I think the Acolyte's due to begin production early spring.
That's right, yeah.
So it may be coming a lot sooner than maybe we realise. So next week, casting news perhaps?
Yeah,
perhaps.
Possibly.
It's filming here, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I suppose also they've probably had their fingers burnt in the past. If they start giving us too much information and tease us about things that are meant to come, and then they don't come or get delayed for whatever reason, fan expectation and actually what Disney can deliver are two different things, and they're always likely to get flack at the end of the day if they don't deliver in what we expect. So probably best to keep us guessing for a little bit longer.
Yeah, very true.
Next up, going back in time a little bit again, Essential Legends collection continues, and it's got 4 new titles coming out next year. You guys, your thoughts on the next picks in the series there? We've got what have we got? Dynasty of Evil, Wedge's Gamble, Darth Plagueis, and Kenobi. So it's an interesting pick. And for me, I'm most delighted because Wedge's Gamble will be coming out on audiobook as well for the first time. That's something that we've been missing.
Yeah, they've released Rogue Squadron as well, didn't they, on audiobook when they released the Essential version of that. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think probably Plagueis and Kenobi out, for me anyway, are the two standout titles. And actually, I think Kenobi, it'd be interesting to revisit that and see potentially if there's any parallels to what we actually end up seeing on screen, be it accidental or intended. So, Plagueis is that weird kind of book in respects that some people consider it like proper canon and other people kind of consider it like legends and stuff, because it kind of had was it a nod or something, or like a approval from George Lucas, but obviously it's written by James Luceno and it's an engaging book, and I think it's Palpatine's like an interesting character, so it would definitely have been one of the books that I would love to port over into the new canon if that was possible.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think any of these releases are by accident, if that makes any sense. I think they're very carefully thought through. Like I say, Kenobi tying in with the release of the Disney Plus series. Wedge's Gamble, obviously we've got Rogue Squadron coming. I think these are thought through what's coming out. And Matt Martin said it years ago, and it's as true now as it ever was then, and it's in the front of the Essential Legends collection books anyway, that this Legends era EU is dipped into, it's referenced, in modern Star Wars. So, all these releases mean something. They're not just picked because it's the next one on the list. These are coming out because they're supposed to be coming out, if that makes sense.
My pitch for the next Disney Plus series, Young Palpatine. There we go.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Who's going to play? Who's going to play Palpatine though, Bri? Who's going to play Palpatine?
Well, Hugh Quarshie. There we go. Linking in the next story.
Yeah.
Very slick that was, eh?
Yeah, smooth. Seamless.
Seamlessly.
Young Palpatine. Well, let's just say the rumor this past week, Matt Smith.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
There
Very
you go.
true. Yeah. That would work.
He's obviously tied up doing Game of Thrones type things, but
Yeah.
never know. I'll throw that one out there into the wild. Rebel Legion obviously had a new inductee. Mark, you were there. See you there in the picture, dressed up. Hugh there being inducted in the Rebel Legion. First of all, thoughts on Hugh and his contribution to the franchise?
Go on, Mark, you take this one.
Yeah, it was nice. I took this photograph. It was nice to be involved, albeit briefly. Yeah, Hugh. I mean, wow. I mean, he said it himself, and we talked to him on Making Tracks. I think it was on last week's show from Gateshead. So when he did Phantom Menace, it was a job. He decided not to come back for Attack of the Clones. That was his choice. And I think it was a little bit, in his own words, I'm paraphrasing, but he was a bit sniffy about it. And then over the years, he's kind of been around it more and seen what it's all about. And now I think he looks at it all as, well, actually, there's a good side to this. And what Mark and the Legion do, and globally as well, is of merit and value because there's fundraising and there's raising awareness for various things. And so, honestly, we did the interview and I kind of handed it over to Mark, and then Mark took over and did the lead up to the induction. And he wasn't he? He was thrilled to bits.
He was stoked. Yeah, he was really stoked. And, I've done a fair few inductions over years. And so you kind of get a feeling whether or not a plaque or something's going to go in the drawer or in the bin or on display. But he seemed generally like he was going to put it on display. And actually, the feedback we got from Gateshead Unleashed to say, actually, Hugh talked about it later and said he was really stoked. So I think it's great. And I think it's nice that we can try and recognise or any actor or like an author or something like who contributes to Star Wars, be it big or small, because I think it's all important. They're all kind of little bricks that make up a great big building, and that building is Star Wars. So it's fantastic at the end of the day, and hopefully we'll see him again. Unfortunately, he was meant to be at Smuggler's Day, but he had other commitments. And it's quite funny because I showed that photo to my mum, and she was like, "Oh my God, you met Rick from Holby City. Why didn't you get my autograph?" And I was like, "Well, next time I'll remember." So hopefully we'll see him again soon because he's been relatively busy on the convention scene over the last few years. So hopefully he'll be back doing something soon. So
yeah.
Again, another pitch there for Making Tracks. You can check out the interview there. Once again, on your podcast of choice, type in Phantom Tracks Radio. I'm getting good at these pitches for you guys.
Very good. You're very good at this, Brian. I love it.
yeah.
Next up, we might struggle to get a pitch, but we'll try. Hasbro. They had their fanfares Friday this past week, and obviously for the Rancor, which had kind of been accidentally revealed previously, but now formally, and we've also got as part of that stretch goals, which maybe disappointed some people. I think the Rancor I think's gone down well. Stretch goal for the Gamorrean, maybe not so. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, I'd say so because the Gamorrean is he's already out in fairly recently. Obviously this is like Power Force 2 kind of card with a coin in that, so that's a little bit of incentive. So it's the problem is with these stretch goals when you put in an exclusive figure, it means that if you're a completist for the figure line, you either do one or two things. You have to try and chance picking them up in the secondary market at God knows what price, or you end up having to buy the Rancor, which might not be necessarily something that you really want. He's a big beastie at the end of the day. He looks fantastic, but he he is big, and I haven't received my Razor Crest yet, so where I'm going to keep that is one thing, but where I'd keep that and the Rancor is another matter entirely. So, I mean, hopefully it'll get there because it's at like 4,600 backers. They need 9,000 to get it through to production. So there's still like 29 days. So I'd think they're likely to get there, but it doesn't seem to have the excitement that the Razor Crest or even the Katana did when they were first announced.
Mark Howard saying there that the Rancor had less screen time than the Razor Crest, which is probably a fair point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's a tough one with the stretch goals because obviously the main incentive is to get to 9,000, get the Rancor secured and done. So, anybody who pledges is happy and it moves forward and such. And I think because that first stretch goal isn't an absolute mind blower, some people, I think Hasbro would like to think that people will go, well, let's see what the next stretch goal is going to be. Because, the sail barge was like that, all the extra things that came. The crest was excellent. I mean, they were flying through stretch goals on that one, and it'll look fantastic when it comes, we have no doubt, early next year, I think. Making room for it right now. Ruth can live in the shed. So, there's and where I put a Rancor, like you say, I don't know. And I am tempted because this does look fantastic.
Obviously, you put the Rancor in the basement, don't you?
Well, yeah, you have a basement.
Yeah, very true. Just need that trapdoor.
Yeah. So, go on then, Brian. What would you, what would you expect to see as a stretch goal reward then if we get some more?
As Paul Naylor kind of called it, and I find it hard to disagree. Rancor goes with Rancor Keeper or Ula.
Yeah, or both. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because I don't think they've even released the Rancor Malakili on Black Series, have they? So
don't believe
that should, in theory, be a no-brainer. Maybe that's something they're building up to. Maybe that is their next stretch goal or something, and they don't want to maybe peak too early. I don't know.
Stretch out and go stretch out. There we go. Bomar Monk Droid, something unusual that you don't necessarily normally get or see. Or
that's a great point. I mean, you see Bomar Monk in the Fett trailer, which we're going to speak about in a bit. We spoke to Simon Williamson at Croydon, who was jobbing up the Rancor, the Gamma Marine that gets eaten there. So it feels like this era of Star Wars. I mean, let alone the fact that it's Jedi 40th in a couple of years' time, less than that. It all feels very relevant right now, so I think they've made some good choices here.
Yep. Moving swiftly on from Hasbro, we just spoke about it. There it goes. The trailer for the Book of Boba Fett dropped this past week. Just flipping back there, because there are a few more ideas. Book of Boba characters, captains, good idea.
Yeah.
And Mark Howard also did a look with a bone as a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, great ideas. Yeah. Keep throwing them at us, guys. But we also want to hear your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett trailer. We've all had the chance to see it. So, Mr. Newbold, let's start with you. Your first impressions of the trailer.
Oh, well, the opening was excellent. I love the opening with, like you say, with the Bomar Monk and such, which was beautifully done. And we do talk about this on upcoming Making Tracks, recorded live at Croydon. But one of the things that was mentioned, cheap plug. One of the things that was mentioned was some people have criticised saying, "Oh, it looks like stop motion," and I think we all agreed it's kind of supposed to feel like that. It's that Jedi ear. It's got to have that look. Like you wouldn't want an AT-AT looking too smooth. You want it to have that jerky, Dennis Muren stop motion feel to it. So
nothing wrong with stop motion.
All of that was beautiful. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Said, so if it's done well, it's great. But, it just had a great feel. And I think that with this trailer, it wasn't so much about giving anything away or showing you too much. It was just setting a tone. I think this trailer was very much like, the old Phantom Menace like mood trailers, the tone poems, just giving a sense of what's coming ahead. This felt like a little bit like that in a bit different way, but it wasn't about showing you too much. But what we saw was, there you go, I was just going to mention the Ithorian, seeing the Ithorian, seeing the city, presumably on Tatooine. My head tells me it might be Bestine, because isn't that the capital of Tatooine, Bestine? We've never really seen it, so it's going to be somewhere like that. So just enough to layer it out and give you that sense of we're going back to a familiar place, we're going back to Brian's backdrop and Jabba's palace and places like that.
Yeah, we're going back to, like I said, a familiar kind of location, but I think an interesting new take on a character that I think we all have our very own expectation and ideas and preconceived notions of who Boba Fett is. And other than like, with all due respect, the slightly whiny kid from Attack of the Clones, we don't really, there's no definitive canon version of Boba Fett kind of right after the events of Return of the Jedi now. So we started to see that with Mandalorian, and this seems to be something that's going to kind of continue. So I really liked how it kind of has that slight, mafiosa, soprano kind of, or even like Narcos kind of vibe. Getting all the captains around the table and stuff, and rather than kind of like just decapitating everybody's head, he's kind of trying to get them on board and get them to work with him. So I think that will probably be one of the main themes, or actually get people on board and maybe weed out some of the initial early competition and stuff. So but it looks good, and Tamura looks awesome in it. He doesn't look quite so rough as he did in The Mandalorian for whatever reason, and he's got his eyebrows back, so maybe that just shows the passage of time. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is going to be really something to kind of like look forward to on December 29th.
Yeah.
I sort of agree with Paul Muir's comment there, and he said it looked timeless, and to me it did. It looked like Return of the Jedi back on the screen, a great and positive way. So I would agree with him 100% on that. I thought it was really well done. Everything about it looked to be done with a really nice high quality. I would like to see them in the series get off Tatooine. I would like maybe somewhere like Ord Mantell would look fantastic on screen. If you're going to go down the route that he's taken over from Jabba, maybe he gets involved a little bit with the Hutts. I would quite like to see something like that. But I get the feeling they're going to probably stick predominantly to Tatooine, and it's going to be about him sort of taking control of that planet, really.
Yeah, I think if Fett is going to set himself up as an underworld or a gang leader, gang boss, and if we're following Mandalorian, we're a few years after Jedi, so presumably Bib Fortuna's had his time to whatever degree of success, we don't really know, and Fett's come in and bang, 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 him and Fennec have taken them out. Fett and Fennec, if you assume they're working together, aren't going to take the underworld purely by kicking everybody's ass and beating everybody up. They've got to intimidate to a degree, but they've also got to play smart. So we could see a real steep learning curve for both of them moving into different professions, because you do hear that line about you're a bounty hunter. Oh, I'm not a bounty hunter. That whole line, that interplay there with we think it's Momo and Nadon. We're not sure yet, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays.
What was the line? You're a bounty hunter. No, you're not a bounty hunter. Your ship's called Slave One. No, it's not.
It's not. It's a cargo hauler.
It's a school bus. It's a school bus. But but I think if Fett's moving into a sort of a different profession, I mean, he's always going to be that guy. But a lot's happened to him. You can kind of understand that if he's been in the Sarlacc pit for however long he was in it, we don't know. Boba Fett's bad day. There's a book to be made. He's going to come out a changed man because he's gone through a traumatic time. And again, he's laid low. You see Tusken Raiders in there. The first time we see Fett is with a gaffy stick with Tusken Raiders. So, maybe he's been with them for a while. I can see flashback after flashback in this show. I think we're going to see a lot of history.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this, having, seen June recently. And, in June, Paul Atreides, he kind of has to basically make an alliance with the Fremen to kind of like win the planet. So you wonder if maybe there's that kind of thing going on. Maybe actually he, Fett calls on his relationship with the Tuskens and uses them as a way to kind of like reinforce maybe his power base.
Yeah, I mean, just riffing off what you've just said, the Tuskens we see in Mando seem a lot less aggressive than the Tuskens we know from A New Hope. And Mando can obviously speak a bit of Tusken. Maybe, I don't know, spitballing, but maybe Boba Fett has come to some agreement with the Tuskens that there's some sort of agreement planet. I don't know. There's so much they could play with this if they want to do it. So much ground they need to cover to make things work. But, I think there's some great options here. And doing it on Tatooine, it's like I say, it's Star Wars and Jedi, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones territory then, isn't it? You're back on familiar ground.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I can never get bored of going and visiting Tatooine.
No.
I think it's just that planet that people say, oh, we've seen a lot of, but actually we've probably not seen as much as people think.
No.
So and like you said, if that city's best team, that would be interesting. Some of the guys in the chat said maybe it could be Jeddah, which again is possible, but obviously in that time period, Jeddah's been destroyed unless it's a flashback. So
that's true.
It could be a completely different planet. We
better.
don't know. Yeah, or built back better. Yeah, maybe. So, but I think it's going to be fun and exciting to see what happens. I think in the end. So, and also how it ties into Mando season 3 as well.
Yeah, Paul Muir saying there they could drop in some old bounty hunters.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely
great call. Yeah,
shout. I actually think that we may see a character that we haven't yet met, but is going to be one of the characters in the new Kenobi show, because obviously he's going to be Tatooine based, at least in part. He's going to cross paths with some locals, so we may see someone cross over from that, or we may see some kind of flashback, like you mentioned. Is Kenobi going to be involved a little bit? I kind of feel that they're going to want to do that to connect all the different shows together.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
I think it'd be quite nice actually that if they introduce a character in Book of Boba Fett, but we don't know that he's in or she's in Kenobi until we see Kenobi, rather than make some kind of obtuse comment about, oh yeah, I used to know this crazy old hermit guy, something like that. It'd be quite nice for them to just be the character, and then it's just like a natural kind of like link to Kenobi, rather than something that feels a bit forced.
And it would make sense as well, because we've got Fennec obviously in Mando and now in Boba Fett, in Book of Boba Fett, and then they bring him into the Bad Batch. They're sort of quite subtly trying to weave in these longer histories with gaps to fill, which is a smart bit of business anyway. So I totally agree with both of you. I think you'll see characters in this that you'll sort of go back to in other shows and learn a bit more about. So
well, and younger versions of the characters in Kenobi as well. So
yeah.
Becca's there's kind of making that comment as well about Kenobi, and even the ghost of Tatooine, aka Anakin Skywalker. It's all folklore connected with that. Mark Howard mentioning Kenobi's house, find some kind of linker connection there. There's so many opportunities as well. There's lots that could happen there. So I think best idea is to let's bring the trailer up, let's play it, react as we go along, and see what else we can pull out from it. So this for me was what did it for me straight away. And I normally hate droids, but I'll go a Boomer Monk droid all day long.
This is somebody pointed out online that if you look at Django in the arena in Attack of the Clones, when he picks up the helmet and looks at it, it's a very similar kind of move. So there's some sort of parallels there.
Yeah, mirroring and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as a character, the Thorian looked fantastic. The city looks brilliant.
Sprawling as well, massive.
Yes.
And it's just good to see, like you saw, like a Gamorrean guard in the background. Some of these OT era aliens and stuff. Was, I think really lacking from the sequel trilogy. From a texture point of view. So it's nice to see that, and some Twi'leks and some Trandoshan.
I actually thought these guys weren't as great because there wasn't as much movement around their face.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's like, how much do you put in that? So, and Jennifer Beals, who I know nothing about because I was born in like 81, but apparently she was pretty big in the 80s. So.
This is great. You got the shields that sort of evoke the Gungan shields in Phantom Menace. There's a vibe there. Tem going Maori on somebody's ass. So all of that looks amazing. It's just got a total vibe about it. It just feels like they're there for a purpose, and they're not there just for a small job. They're there on a mission. And that scene at the end of season 2, Mando, that just feels like the tip of the iceberg. So this just everything about this just feels, even down to the logo they chose, which is just so much like the old Dark Horse logo. Just everything about it feels like they've really thought this one through.
Yeah.
Was there anything missing from it?
Well,
No, not really. I think everything in that's from probably the first or second episode at best. So I think they're keeping
yeah,
it keeping
easy.
a lot under the lid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for those who are probably kind of casual Star Wars fans. Possibly, it doesn't really give a huge amount away. It's like you said, it's more of an intriguing kind of thing. It doesn't spell out anything. Maybe if there's going to be a longer version of the trailer, maybe in a couple of days' time or something, which is going to be a little bit more, obvious and it's going to really spell out what they're trying to do. But this was kind of a really nice teaser. Searching for Omega, that would be interesting, because like you said, Mark, they're trying to kind of connect these characters to different eras, and who knows where Omega is at this point in time.
The only thing I would say about Searching for Omega, which I think would be a great idea, is that you kind of feel like the Ahsoka show. She's either searching for Ezra or she's searching for Thrawn. So if you've got too many shows where it's a hunt for somebody, it could get a bit. But I totally agree that Omega as a character and Alpha and Omega, they've got to have some sort of moment of meeting or some resolution. That's to say Omega got this far. We don't know what's going to happen in Bad Batch, but it kind of feels like that's got to be resolved to some degree. So I'm certain she'll be at least name checked for season 2.
I think the unknown quantity in the show as well as Fennec Shand. Because obviously we don't know a huge amount about the background of Fennec. And it is really, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, but they are really going with the 2 leads. So there's a huge potential there. If you want to get complicated, could you link Fennec back to Omega? Is that why Boba's so keen to keep her around? He aided and helped her.
That's a good show. Yeah, that is a good show.
Cool.
Yeah. Alpha and Omega. Yeah. So that's a very good point. And we still don't really know what the deal is with Fennec, do we? Is she sticking around because she's indebted to him now, or is it just the fact that she's just maybe a little bit of an opportunist and just going to see where things go? Maybe she might even jump ship at some point, and maybe we could see her, maybe kind of do a power grab near the end or something. Who knows? I mean,
the Bounty Hunters comic at the moment, we talked about this the other day, the Bounty Hunters comic, Ethan Sachs' brilliant Bounty Hunters, where these guys, Naylor says it. I'll give you a spoiler from this week's Making Tracks. Paul Naylor says, you're used to seeing these 6 bounty hunters on the bridge of the Executor, and you kind of think as a kid they're all working together, and then you realise actually they're not. They're all working against each other all the time. And if you throw Valance into that mix now, if you want to throw him in, and in Bounty Hunters at the moment, Fett just turned on Valance, and Valance would turn on Fett in a heartbeat, and there's poor Dengar floating off on an iceberg and Boss tied to a rock, and they're just screwing each other over left, right and centre. So there's got to be more than just I'm doing this because it feels like the right thing kind of relationship. There's a reason Fennec's tying up with Fett. There's a reason why Fett's letting it happen. There's a reason why Fett fixed her. Maybe there's a restraining bolt in there. I don't know. So there's got to be a plot reason for it all to be happening.
It all makes sense, yeah.
What about the injuries that have kind of disappeared a little bit from Fett?
To be Mr. Newbold had a rather popular tweet the other day about Bacta and stuff, so I think I'll let him kind of answer that one. But I completely agree.
Yeah, I put a flippant tweet out that kind of went a bit mad about good to see him looking back to normal, but I think so far down the line, because story wise, I would imagine if Fennec's been fixed by Fett, then Fennec's going to fix Fett. Now he needs the fixing sort of thing. So and you wouldn't. I think you'd want to see, and the producers of the show would want to see Fett at his best. They're clearly happy with the helmet off. I kind of wish Mark had left his on, but we can't have everything. So in the show, pleasure. So in the show, you're getting all the features of the actor's face, and because you've got Tem is the complete Boba Fett now, voice and body. You saw some clips of him working out on a New Zealand TV show in his gym. Didn't give much away, but he's been working out. So obviously Fett is now getting more back to his old self, if you want to call it that. I think seeing Fett as he was in The Mandalorian was an aesthetic choice, not just that's how. I'm not dissing Tamira one iota. Not just that's how he was when they cast him in the role. That's how they wanted Fett to look like, because you're going to see a progression of this dude getting back to where he wants to be. It's a journey, it's got a Clint Eastwood vibe to it. So, I think it's all that.
And also I think with the Mandalorian making such a big deal about, taking your helmet off or not taking your helmet off, we can't have another series. If you if you
Did
want
you
to
keep
if
your
you want to
receipt full?
refund, yeah, you can have a refund, mate. It's fine. But my point was, is that we can't. It would be a little bit dull if we had two kind of Mandalorian centric kind of shows, and
Yeah.
both the protagonists kept their helmets on for all of it. It's just the fact, obviously, with Fett, we don't see him without his helmet on. From The Empire Strikes Back onwards, all those comics and
Yeah.
stuff that he's been in, he's basically always got his helmet on, unless he's kind of a silhouette or something in the shadows somewhere. But you can't have that as well, I think, as well as what they're doing with The Mandalorian, because it's going to be too similar. So, and also it's probably just actually, came down to maybe negotiation rates and stuff like that. Maybe Tem said, look, if I'm going to do it, I want to be seen. I don't want to be stuck behind a helmet. Whereas maybe that wasn't offered to Pedro in the same kind of way. So,
good point. Real world coming into the scenario.
Yeah. So, but
in terms of Disney Plus in general, obviously we've got Disney Plus Day coming up this coming Friday, and it's going to be a few days after the investors' call. They might drop some news that day. Maybe another franchise other than Star Wars, but they tend to like to throw something out there to distract people from the numbers. And so it's odd that they're splitting them up this year, in my opinion. They're also dropping the news on a Friday, and I predict it'll be after 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, because stock markets will be closed for the weekend. So people don't get that instant sudden reaction to the share price. But I believe they're going to do things different this year. There's going to be content dropped throughout the day on the Disney Plus app as well, and potentially not a full presentation like last time. We'll find out more during the week. I'm sure they'll be promoting how they're going to do it. But I just want to touch on what you guys would like to see and hear, and where your expectations are. So Mark, if I start with you, I'm saying Mark. I'm looking at Mark Newbold. Start with Mark Newbold.
Newbold.
Oh, okay.
I'll put him under pressure.
Okay. Oh, thank you. What would I like to see? Well, we got the Boba Fett documentary coming, so we know there's going to be bits, looking back and looking forward. So I'm assuming we'll see little odds and sods in there. They don't need to sell, give the house away at the moment because it's only a few weeks away. But in terms of Kenobi, I think you'll see some sort of teaser for Kenobi. Somebody online, I forget who it was, forgive me, but they made a great point of they don't think we'll see Ewan's face. They don't think we'll see Ewan as Obi-Wan. And I thought, what a great shout. I think we'll see a silhouette, or we'll get a hint of it, they hit the hood down or something. We'll get a teaser, but I don't think we'll see Ewan. They'll save that for the show. Naylor says it there, great point. More news on Willow. They're filming Indy right now, but way too early to give us a teaser for Indy. Although if you think back to when Raiders came out on VHS, you did get a teaser for Temple of Doom with the map and all that stuff, but that was 40 years ago, so that doesn't mean anything. I think we'll see a trailer for Andor. That's my big shout. I think Andor feels like the one that we'll see something for, to me anyway. I don't know where they are in the schedules, which one's coming first. I don't think they've announced that. We'll probably hear that. But teaser for Kenobi, Andor, possibly both.
Yeah. I think maybe we'll get like a better sense of actually their release schedule next year. I think for one, maybe even a second kind of, shall we say, series for Visions potentially, or even actually, are they actually going to do a full series of one of the animations? I don't know, like the Ninth Jedi or something, because that was the one which really stood out as kind of a pilot as such. I'd probably think they would want to maybe talk about Indy, because obviously it's been pushed back. So maybe they need to do a little bit of reassuring the shareholders a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they're going to keep all the movie news to shareholder day and drop something movie news related that day to distract everyone, and kick all the TV content to Disney Plus Day.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I guess maybe they want to still at this point kind of keep things kind of slightly separated in respects to that. Like you've got your
Yeah.
theatrical cinema first releases, and then your Disney Plus stuff, which you can only get on Disney Plus, and that. So I'm sure we're going to get some more stuff, and maybe even like you said, news about the Acolyte if they're aiming to be starting production in spring, then possibly some casting news, maybe a couple of like names being attached and some headshots and stuff. Teaser for Rogue Squadron, have they even shot anything? I mean, unless it's another kind of casting announcement, possibly that would be quite fun. Because
they could certainly tease they could certainly tease, like you say, Mark. You could certainly tease the era for Rogue Squadron. Is it a sequel trilogy era film? I've heard that it's sort of around Return of the Jedi era after Endor. So is it then? That'd be nice to know. It's not giving much away.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think that kind of post ROTJ early era, with that first kind of 5 years or so, including Mandalorian, that's where they're focused at the moment. So I think they're going to mine that era. That's going to be like the new Disney Star Wars era for the foreseeable. I think, and it makes sense to kind of tie that in. For instance, like I said, if they have Rogue Squadron set directly at the end of Endor and, basically doing the mopping up and stuff, then there's ways that we could kind of see other characters kind of like come into that. Well, we've met Mandalorian and potentially Book of Boba Fett, who knows? So, it's all going to be, connected one way or another. So it's going to be exciting.
I actually kind of think that they may throw out a TV series for Rogue Squadron, which could be one of the announcements as part of a tease for Rogue Squadron. They could throw out this is a cast, because this is what we've got a lot of series coming out where we don't have cast or talent necessarily attached to. That's something they could do. For me, I expect as a minimum an Andor trailer. I expect some kind of behind the scenes Obi-Wan. Whether it's just a case of Ewan meeting Hayden again and giving each other a hug and everyone goes, oh. I kind of think you've got to cover the next year of content with this event in terms of promoting it, in terms of releasing videos to promote it. So really,
or at least get us to April in celebration, or May rather.
Yes,
get us to May.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Andor and Obi-Wan is a must. Everything beyond that's gravy. It's difficult because it depends how Disney are going to handle this going forward. Because Disney Plus Day and first year, they were really selling subscriptions, and that was the whole purpose of it. They've now got a huge subscription base. They want to retain people and they want to add to it. Do they have to look as far forward as they did the first time? Probably not. But they've also set a level in terms of look at the amount of things that we announced. So. You also figure when's the next Disney Plus Day going to be? It's going to be the end of 22, November 22. So is there going to be other shows in production by that time that they don't want leaked out, or they want the big platform to announce it? So potentially something like the Acolyte the cast may get announced. And shows that they're already further on with, I would imagine they're probably working on something animation, promote that, announce second series for whatever, for Andor might get that, before we've even seen the first, that kind of thing could form part of it. And it could end up like we did first year round and get teased, look we're developing a Lando series, we're developing this, we're going to do something in the High Republic, we're going to do a Rogue Squadron TV series and not tell you much more about it. And I think that's the more likelihood of how they'll go about things.
I think they know the fandom well enough, though, Bri, that like everything you've just said there, if any of that came, or all of it, or whatever came to pass, there's just enough in what you've just said. If any of that happened, we would be talking and buzzing about that all year.
And that's what it's all about. It's given enough, one, to reassure the shareholders that we're going to have this platform's going to be rocking, subscriber numbers are going to be high, people aren't going to unsubscribe, and we're going to be adding more content, more people. So that's one half of it. The other half is to get people talking and people excited about the content that's coming. You've also got to factor in the fact that it's not all about Star Wars. You've got lots of other Disney content and franchises. They just need to create enough new content to keep it going. We're pretty much solid through 2022. You're into 2023. Do they need to announce it yet? Because, as you've said, you've got Disney Day on the Friday. Later in the month, you've got D23 event where they've promising some announcements, so something will be held back for that. Celebration in April, they'll be thinking, do we need to announce this yet, or can we maybe wait and get a live crowd reaction? D23, I think, is next year as well, so that's August. So you've got other events in the calendar to announce things. It's all about providing that reassurance that we've got lots of things in the pipeline. So it can't just be just a case of this character is going to be getting a show. Darth Maul's getting an animated TV series. We're going to do Knights of the Old Republic's going to get a TV series. We're going to do this movie, that movie. This guy's making a movie for us. This writer's come on board. So you can announce lots of things without announcing very much, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, like Paul kind of said in the chat, it's all about trying to make sure that you dangle enough of a carrot that people will keep on subscribing and not drop off for a month and then kind of resubscribe, but just kind of keep on
like I have.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's because you're a tight Scot. That's why.
Come on. All they gave us was animation all year long. Come on, Disney.
But no, I mean...
You're just looking forward to Droid's Tales. That's what you're looking for.
That's what
I'm looking forward to. Nobody's announced that. Why is nobody excited for Droid's Tales?
But, we still haven't heard anything about Lando, have we?
No. And some of that series that got announced the first time round probably disappeared by now. Haven't survived development.
Yeah,
never
exactly.
to be mentioned again.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we said that actually when we talked about it back then, was like, you wonder how many of those 10 or 11 shows will actually make it through to completion. Especially stuff like Lando and that, because it's kind of like, there's lots of moving parts, and especially when you have big names, attached to it, how they then start to kind of like fit in around their schedule when there's a delay and stuff like that. It's always a knock-on effect, isn't it? And we've had a pandemic, so it's not been plain sailing since that announcement, really. So,
but in terms of Disney Plus, just on a slightly broader point, everything got pushed back, like you say, because of the pandemic. And then now look at all the stuff that Marvel have got coming out. So if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, if you're just going in for Star Wars, then I think you're still going to be fine. But if you're going in as a general film fan, you got all that stuff from Pixar, all that stuff from Disney. Marvel are just spewing stuff out for fun, and Star Wars. I don't see why you'd want to, most. I don't mean you, Brian. You're very special, but most people would want to, unsubscribe from Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I think that's the equation, because they don't necessarily want too much to overlap. They don't want to overload it. They want everything to have its little bit of space, and it's day in the sun. And I think that's why the Fett trailer dropped early. Everybody knew what's happening there. They've got a release date out. Let's drop the trailer so it's not swallowed up in Disney Plus Day announcements.
Yeah, or Hawkeye in a couple of weeks. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So there's lots of potential. I don't think it's going to be as rich as people maybe think it's going to be in terms of new content, 'cause I don't think they need to. I just think they need to progress things. Announce a cast for The Acolyte, for example, gives us all something to speculate for months. And of course, we've got the whole documentary side of things as well, which I think is going to become a much bigger thing next year as well.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last point Mark Hurd makes there, and they're not doing DVD releases, which I hate. I want to have Mando and DVD. Come on.
Absolutely.
You need to keep your subscription to watch.
Yeah, that's how they get you. That's how they're going to get you.
It is.
Absolutely. And I think at that point, it's probably a good time to wrap up the show, guys. Lan, a lot longer than normal. There's a lot to digest there from the trailer and from Disney Plus Day. I'm taking a break for the next fortnight, going away on a little trip. But we'll be back before the end of the month, and we'll be casting our eyes back on everything that was announced on Disney Plus. Keep your eyes on factortracks.com. Check out Making Tracks, because I'm sure it's going to be the topic of discussion for you guys. For our next week's
absolutely.
Show. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully a Tuesday release. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you both for joining me this week. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughts and comments. And makes the show all that much interesting to hear the wider fan base's thoughts and not just our own little echo chamber. So appreciate everything, and we'll see you back here in a few weeks' time. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Take care.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live show.